Hello and welcome to this lecture on a case study on concepts and hierarchy of strategies. So, the purpose of this module has been to help you understand these concepts of strategy that we've been talking about. And in this particular lecture, we will take you through an example in a case study of helping you understand the concept and hierarchy of strategies like corporate, business, and functional strategies. We talked about them, but we will take you through this case study. So, this case study is about a strategy confusion crisis, how a new manager learned the corporate, business, and functional strategies by saving a failed expansion. So, let's take a look at that. Right. So, it's about Arav Devmas Facemas, a 29-year-old newly promoted strategy manager at a company called Global Fresh Foods, an FMCG company operating in 12 countries, who is assigned to support the firm's expansion into Southeast Asia. Right. Now, on day one, Arav realizes something shocking, right? That all the three components players are talking differently. The corporate strategy wants expansion of portfolio diversification, business unit head wants to grow market share aggressively, and the functional teams like marketing, supply chain, HR all have conflicting operating plans. Nothing aligns. Everyone uses the word strategy, but no one means the same thing. So that's the situation. So, what is the challenge in this situation for Araf? So Arav challenge says that his challenge is that I don't even understand the exact boundaries of corporate business and functional strategies. And now I have to fix a failing expansion. He must learn the strategy hierarchy fast and apply it to rescue this multi-million dollar project in FMCG industry that he is responsible for now. Now this expansion is collapsing because corporate headquarters wants a regional presence. EU wants premium positioning, marketing wants mass marketing launch, supply chain wants cost minimization, HR wants to freeze hiring due to budget limits. And each group is optimizing its own plan without alignment. And if RF fails, the company may lose $18 million in sunk costs. And he has only 8 weeks to present a revised plan to the global strategy board. So that's the challenge, not a small challenge, right? So, where does Araf's breakthrough insight come from? And it comes from frustration. In frustration, AI goes to AI and asks, right? Explain strategy levels like I am a 5-year-old kid and show me how to apply them to a real company with conflicting goals. And AI gives him a simple but powerful mental model. Let's take a look at that model. Now, here there is a corporate strategy framework that the whole team is confused about, the corporate business and the functional strategy. So let's take a look at what does each of these mean. Now corporate strategy is about where and why. There the decision makers decide which countries do we operate, which industry do should we be present, what to acquire or exit, what is the kind of capital, where should we allocate capital, and what's our growth mode? Should we grow organically or through mergers and acquisition? And the time horizon is 5 to 10 years of time planning. And the owners of the strategy are the CEO of the global company and the corporate strategy team. So that's the corporate level strategy. At a business strategy, it's about how to win in a specific market, and the BU head decides the positioning, premium versus mass, target market segment, value proposition, competitive advantage in terms of cost, differentiation, speed, etc. And they work in a time frame of 3 to 5 years, and the owner is business unit head or a division head. So those are the boundaries of business strategy. The third set of strategy is the functional strategy, which talk about how to deliver operationally, right? And there, each of the function heads decides marketing. Like in marketing, they decide pricing, promotion, brand message. Supply chain decides sourcing, distribution, inventory. HR decides hiring, training, and culture. Finance decides budget, risk, profitability targets, etc. And here you work in the time horizon of 1 to 3 years, and the owners are the respective functional managers, right? So that's the flesh, fleshing of the strategy hierarchy framework. Now, Arnav took a three-step rescue process. In the first step, he clarified the corporate strategy. That's where he started. He started at the top, the where and why part of the uh, answer. Second, then he looked realigned the business strategy in how to win with the corporate strategy, and finally rewrote functional strategy on how to execute. So let's take a look at each of these. So in first step, what did Arnav do to clarify the corporate strategy? Arnav meets the corporate team and asks few questions, right? He asked why Southeast Asia? What role does it play in the global portfolio? What financial expectations do you have? And what is the risk appetite? And you get some answers which start clarifying the corporate strategy, which basically is that their goal is geographic diversification and long term growth. And their mandate is to operate in mid premium health segment. They would operate within budgets of about $50 million over 3 years. And they want to grow organically, not through acquisitions. And this becomes the top of the strategy pyramid, the corporate strategy. Then he goes on to look at the business strategy. So Arnav leads the BU team through a workshop, right? And there again he asks, helps them answer a few questions. Who is our primary customer? What unmet need do we solve? How do competitors position themselves? And what is our differentiation? And they decide their segment is to operate in urban health conscious families. They have positioned themselves as better for you mid premium foods, and their competitive edge is cleaner ingredients and supply chain freshness. And their growth model is to start with two flagship cities and then expand. Now, this aligns with the corporate directions and guides all function now. So now there is a much more clarity on the business strategy, isn't it? The third step Arav takes is to rewrite the functional strategy on how to execute. So Arav facilitates cross-functional alignment. He, with marketing, he works to define the message of being freshness and health made affordable, decides the launch plan of influencer-based city launch, and a pricing of 8 to 10% above the local mass market. Once that is clear, the supply chain decides their strategy of setting up local sourcing partnership, setting up cold chain investments in freshness, and 24-hour replenishments cycle in cities. And finally, the HR also rewrites their strategy of hiring local supply chain specialists, building a regional marketing team, and training staff on product education. Now, every functional strategy is now supporting the BU strategy, which is supporting the corporate strategy. And the confusion is gone, right? So it's a nice cascading up of the work that they're going to do, driven down originally from the top, right? Right. So, what is the outcome of Arav's all that work? Now, Arav presents a clean, aligned strategy hierarchy to the board, right? Of corporate strategy being diversification plus health segment and organic entry. Business be focusing on mid premium and urban positioning, and functional strategy fully aligned marketing, supply chain, HR plans. The Global Strategy Board approves this revised plan, and within 18 months, market share grows to 6% in launch city. Distribution reaches 1,800 stores. Regional profitability achieved 6 months early, and Arab is promoted to strategy lead for the emerging markets. So that's the outcome. So, what is personal learning for Arab in this whole case? Now, he captures his ultimate insight by saying that strategy only makes sense when you know which level of strategy are you working on. Corporate is about where to operate, business is about how to operate it successfully, and functional is how exactly how to implement those plans of the business. And he realizes strategy doesn't start with plans, it starts with the clarity of the levels. So, what is the takeaway for any of us who are learning strategy? So it starts by knowing that you know the strategy can be at three different levels: corporate, business, and functional. And The corporate should drive the business strategy and business should drive the functional strategy. And each of these have their own meaning. Corporate means where are you going to operate worldwide and in product market scope, and why. Business is about having decided that how will you compete in those categories and markets. And functional is about how will you execute that. And each of these must ladder up to the next level. A functionals must support the business level, business must support the corporate level, and all the functional strategies should be aligned with each other. So, what do we do in the next module? What else? We start getting into the depth of what is business strategy. We are not going to talk about in this course on the corporate strategy. That will be another course whenever I decide to do that. But this course is about business strategy, business planning, modeling, and policy. So we will take a look at as we go forward in this course, how should we compete to successfully establish ourselves in line with the corporate strategy, and that's what we'll do in the next module. So thank you so much for watching this concept and hierarchy of strategy case study. I hope you are continuing to learn new things, continuing to enjoy, and I do look forward to see you again in the next lecture. Please feel free to message me if you have any questions. I'll be happy to answer your questions. And do download the PDF file to take a look at anything that you need to.